It started with a question Harold's cardiologist asked him at a routine checkup. Harold is 79 years old. He has never been hospitalized. He takes no prescription medication. His blood pressure at his last visit was 117/74, the kind of reading that makes doctors pause and look up from their clipboards. His cholesterol is optimal. His cognitive assessment, which his doctor runs annually now, came back in the top percentile for his age group. His resting heart rate is 58. The cardiologist, a man who has spent 30 years watching people age in every direction, leaned back in his chair and asked Harold one question. What do you eat? Not as a clinical inquiry, as genuine curiosity, because in 3 decades of practice, he had learned that the patients who aged like Harold, the ones who defied the trajectory he saw in the majority of his caseload, almost always had something specific in common. Not a supplement protocol, not an expensive intervention, something far more ordinary, something sitting in their kitchen right now. Harold thought about the question for a moment. Then he listed 6 things he ate every single day. Has eaten, he said, for as long as he could remember. His cardiologist wrote them down. Today, I'm going to share those 6 things with you. And more importantly, I'm going to tell you exactly what the science says about why they work, what they are doing inside your body at a cellular level, and how you can begin eating them starting with your very next meal. Because here is what decades of nutritional research across the world's longest-lived populations have confirmed. The gap between a body that ages well and a body that ages hard is not determined by genetics as much as we once believed. It is not determined by luck, by geography, or by access to cutting-edge medicine. It is determined, in large and measurable part, by what you put on your plate every single day. 6 foods, every day. Years added. Let's begin. Before we go any further, everything in this video is grounded in peer-reviewed nutritional research and published longevity studies. It is for informational and educational purposes only and does not replace the personalized advice of your physician or registered dietitian. Please consult your healthcare provider before making significant changes to your diet, particularly if you have existing health conditions or take prescription medication. Your body is unique and deserves care that reflects that. By the end of this video, you will know all 6 foods, exactly why each one adds years to your life at a biological level, and one specific way to add each one to your daily eating starting today. No expensive supplements, no dramatic dietary overhauls, just 6 real, affordable, accessible foods that the world's longest-lived seniors have been eating quietly for decades while the rest of the world look elsewhere for the answer. Stay with me through to food number 5, because that one carries research findings so specific and so striking that when I first encountered them, I had to read the study twice to believe what I was reading. They eat beans every single day. Let us begin with the most consistently documented longevity food in the scientific literature. Not the most glamorous, not the most expensive, the most documented. Beans, legumes of all kinds, lentils, chickpeas, black beans, kidney beans, cannellini beans, butter beans, split peas, appear in the daily diet of virtually every long-lived population researchers have ever studied in depth. In the blue zones, the 5 regions of the world where people routinely live past 90 and 100 in good health, beans are not a side dish. They are not an occasional meal. They are eaten every single day in some form, at some point, without exception. Dan Buettner, the National Geographic researcher who spent decades documenting blue zone populations, identified beans as the single most important dietary predictor of longevity across all 5 zones. Not olive oil, not fish, not red wine. Beans. The reason is biological and multilayered. Beans are one of the richest sources of soluble fiber available in the human diet. Soluble fiber feeds a beneficial bacteria in your gut microbiome, and a diverse, well-fed microbiome is now understood to be one of the primary regulators of systemic inflammation, immune function, metabolic health, and even cognitive performance. When you eat beans, you are not just feeding yourself. You are feeding the 3 to 4 pounds of microbial life that live in your gut and influence virtually every system in your body. Beans are also one of the highest sources of plant-based protein available, critical after 60, when muscle maintenance becomes one of the central challenges of healthy aging. A half cup of cooked lentils contains approximately 9 grams of protein alongside 8 grams of fiber, folate, iron, magnesium, and potassium, a nutritional profile that no supplement has yet managed to replicate in a single capsule. A landmark study published in the Asia-Pacific Journal of Clinical Nutrition followed populations across Japan, Sweden, Greece, and Australia, and found that for every 20-gram increase in daily legume consumption, the risk of death decreased by 7 to 8%, not over a decade, cumulatively, consistently, measurably. Meet Josephine. She is 84 years old and lives in a small town in southern Italy. Her daughter, who moved to London in her 30s, visits every summer and has noticed for years that her mother, now 84, moves through the world with a vitality that her London neighbors in their late 60s do not match. Same energy in the morning, same sharp memory, same strong handshake. The daughter asked her mother what she thought the reason was. Josephine pointed to the pot on her stove. Every morning, a small bowl of white beans cooked slowly the night before with garlic, rosemary, and good olive oil. Every lunch, lentil soup or a chickpea salad. Every dinner, beans in some form alongside whatever else she was eating. She had been doing this since she was a child. She did not think of it as a health decision. She thought of it as simply what food was. Here is how to start today. Open one tin of any bean, cannellini, chickpeas, black beans, whatever you have. Rinse them, warm them in a pan with olive oil and a crushed clove of garlic, and add them to whatever you were already going to eat. That is it. That is the first step. 1/2 cup of beans per day, added to meals you are already making, is enough to begin experiencing the biological benefits that the research documents. You do not need to love beans. You need to eat them. And if you eat them daily, your body will begin showing you why Josephine has been pointing to that pot on her stove for 84 years. They eat leafy greens with almost every meal. The second food on this list is one that almost everyone knows is good for them, and almost no one eats in the quantities that the research says matter. Dark leafy greens. Spinach, kale, Swiss chard, collard greens, rocket, watercress, dandelion greens, beet greens. Not iceberg lettuce. Not pale green salad mix. The dark, slightly bitter, deeply pigmented leaves that most people push to the side of the plate or eat once a week in a salad and consider their obligation fulfilled. The longest-lived seniors in the world do not eat leafy greens occasionally. They eat them with almost every meal. In Okinawa, dark leafy vegetables called nigori and handam are eaten daily, prepared simply, blanched, dressed with a little sesame oil, eaten as a quiet constant alongside everything else. In Ikaria, Greece, another blue zone, wild greens are gathered locally and served at lunch and dinner as a matter of ordinary daily life. In Loma Linda, California, the Seventh-day Adventist community, which is the highest concentration of centenarians in North America, incorporates dark leafy greens into both their main meals daily as a matter of cultural and dietary identity. Here's what those greens are doing inside the body, and why the frequency matters as much as the food itself. Dark leafy greens are one of the most concentrated sources of vitamin K1 and K2 in the human diet. Vitamin K is essential for bone mineralization, the process by which calcium is correctly deposited into bone tissue rather than into arterial walls. A deficiency in vitamin K is now understood to be one of the drivers of both osteoporosis and arterial calcification, two of the primary threats to longevity after 60. They are rich in folate, which is essential for DNA repair, the continuous maintenance work your cells perform to correct errors before they become permanent damage. As we age, DNA repair mechanisms slow. Consistent folate intake is one of the few dietary interventions proven to support the maintenance of those mechanisms. They are among the highest dietary sources of lutein and zeaxanthin, carotenoids that protect retinal health and have been shown in multiple studies to slow age-related macular degeneration, the leading cause of vision loss in adults over 60. But lutein and zeaxanthin do not only protect the eyes. A study published in the journal Nutrients found that higher dietary lutein intake was associated with significantly better cognitive performance in older adults. Because the same oxidative protection the carotenoids provide to the retina, they also provide to brain tissue. And they are rich in nitrates, not the synthetic nitrates in processed meat, but the natural dietary nitrates that the body converts to nitric oxide, a molecule that dilates blood vessels, improves circulation, lowers blood pressure, and enhances oxygen delivery to muscles and brain tissue. Agnes is 77 and has been a keen gardener for 50 years. She grows her own spinach, kale, and rocket in raised beds outside her kitchen door. Every morning she takes a handful of whatever is ready, wilts it in a pan with olive oil, and eats it alongside her eggs. Every evening, a large handful of raw rocket dressed with lemon and olive oil sits beside whatever else she has cooked for dinner. She does not count nutrients. She does not track anything. She simply grows what she eats and eats what she grows. At her last health review, her bone density scan showed results consistent with someone 15 years younger. Her ophthalmologist noted her retinal health was exceptional for her age. Her GP described her blood pressure, 119/71, as something you would expect in a healthy 45-year-old. Agnes attributes it to the garden. The science says she is right. Here is how to start today. Add 1 large handful of dark leafy greens to 1 meal you are already eating. Wilt spinach into scrambled eggs. Add rocket to whatever you are having for lunch. Stir kale into a soup. 1 handful, 1 meal, every day. The cumulative effect of that single daily act, compounded across months and years, is what the research is measuring when it finds what it finds. They eat oily fish at least twice a week, but many eat it every day. The third food is one that sits at the intersection of more longevity research than almost any other single item, and yet the majority of people over 60 are not eating it in the quantities that the evidence supports. Oily fish, salmon, sardines, mackerel, herring, anchovies, trout. Fish with dark flesh and high fat content, and fat that the human body uses in ways that no other dietary fat quite replicates. The active compounds in oily fish are omega-3 fatty acids, specifically EPA and DHA, the long-chain form that the body can use directly. These are not the same as the ALA omega-3 found in flaxseed and walnuts, which must be converted by the body before use and is converted only partially and inefficiently. EPA and DHA from oily fish are bioavailable immediately, and they go to work on inflammation, cardiovascular health, brain tissue, and cellular membrane integrity in ways that are among the most extensively documented in nutritional science. A meta-analysis published in the New England Journal of Medicine, drawing on data from over 25,000 participants, found that omega-3 supplementation reduced cardiovascular events, heart attacks and strokes, by 28%. But the whole food studies, examining people who eat oily fish regularly rather than taking capsules, show even stronger effects, because the fish matrix delivers not just omega-3 but selenium, vitamin D, iodine, and high-quality complete protein simultaneously. The brain findings are particularly striking. DHA is a structural component of brain cell membranes. The brain is approximately 60% fat by dry weight, and DHA makes up a significant proportion of that fat, particularly in the prefrontal cortex and the hippocampus, the regions most involved in executive function and memory. When DHA intake is insufficient, the brain literally cannot maintain the structural integrity of its most important regions. Studies tracking omega-3 blood levels in older adults have found that those with the highest DHA level show significantly slower brain volume loss over time. The brain literally shrinks more slowly in people who eat oily fish regularly. The anti-inflammatory effect of EPA is equally significant. Chronic low-grade inflammation, what researchers call inflammaging, is now understood to be the primary driver of accelerated aging across virtually every organ system. EPA competes with arachidonic acid, a pro-inflammatory compound, at the cellular level, directly reducing production of inflammatory signaling molecules. This is not a metaphor. It is a biochemical competition that you influence with every meal. George is 81 and lives in a coastal village in Sardinia. He has eaten fish his entire life, not as a health choice but as a geographic reality. Twice a week it is grilled mackerel. Most other days it is tinned sardines on bread with tomato and a drizzle of olive oil, eaten standing at a kitchen counter at lunchtime the way his father ate it before him. He does not own a supplement. He has never taken a fish oil capsule. His doctor, who sees him annually, describes his inflammatory markers as those of a man 20 years younger. His memory, tested informally in the way a good doctor tests it during conversation, is sharp, associative, and fast. He remembers the name of every person in the waiting room and asks after their families by name. George does not know the words EPA or DHA. He knows that fish is what you eat because it is what there is. And in that simple, unanalyzed daily habit, he has been doing something that the world's most sophisticated nutritional research has spent decades trying to understand and bottle. Here is how to start today. If you are not eating oily fish twice a week, begin there. Tinned sardines, tinned mackerel, or tinned salmon are among the most nutritionally complete and affordable foods available. A tin of sardines in olive oil, eaten with some dark bread and a handful of rocket, is a lunch that costs almost nothing and delivers extraordinary nutritional value. Start twice a week and work toward more. Your brain, your heart, and every cell in your body will register the difference. They eat fermented foods every single day. This is the one that surprises people most when they first encounter the longevity research. Not because fermented foods are obscure. They are not. Most people have eaten yogurt or cheese at some point in their lives. But the role that fermented foods play in biological aging and the specificity with which researchers have now documented it is something that most people have never been told. After 60, the diversity of your gut microbiome, the community of trillions of microorganisms living in your digestive system, naturally begins to decline. This decline matters far more than most people realize, because the microbiome is not simply a digestive organ. It is an endocrine organ, a neurological organ, and an immune organ simultaneously. It produces neurotransmitters, including serotonin and dopamine precursors. It regulates the inflammatory response across the entire body. It communicates with the brain via the vagus nerve in what researchers now call the gut-brain axis. And it directly influences the pace of biological aging at a cellular level. A landmark study published in Cell in 2021, one of the most significant nutritional studies in recent years, found that a diet high in fermented foods increased microbiome diversity and decreased inflammatory markers more effectively than a high-fiber diet alone. The fermented food group showed reductions in 19 specific inflammatory proteins, including interleukin-6, which is directly associated with accelerated aging, cognitive decline, and cardiovascular disease. The fermented foods eaten by the world's longest-lived populations are not exotic. In Okinawa, a fermented soybean paste called miso is consumed daily, dissolved into soup at breakfast, lunch, or dinner. In Korea, kimchi, fermented cabbage and vegetables, is eaten at every meal. In Sardinia and Greece, live culture yogurt made from sheep or goat milk is eaten daily. In Eastern Europe and Russia, kefir and fermented pickles are cultural staples consumed across a lifetime. What these foods have in common is live bacterial cultures, strains of lactobacillus, bifidobacterium, and other beneficial bacteria that, when consumed regularly, colonize and diversify the gut microbiome, suppressing pathogenic bacteria and restoring the ecological balance that is essential to every system the microbiome influences. The key word is regularly. The benefit of fermented foods is not stored. It is maintained through consistent daily input. Stop eating them and the microbial benefit fades within weeks. Eat them daily and the effect compounds over months and years in ways that are now measurable in blood panels and brain imaging studies. Dorothy is 80. She has eaten a small pot of live natural yogurt every morning for as long as she can remember, a habit inherited from her Greek grandmother who lived to 96. She adds a drizzle of honey and whatever fruit is in season. It takes her 4 minutes to prepare. She has never thought of it as medicine. But at 80, Dorothy has what a doctor describes as an unusually robust immune response for her age. She rarely gets sick. When she does, she recovers quickly. Her inflammatory markers are consistently low, and she has none of the digestive unpredictability, the bloating, the irregularity, the heaviness after meals that so many of her peers describe as simply part of getting older. Dorothy's gut is decades younger than her age, and she built it one small pot of yogurt at a time. Here's how to start today. Add 1 serving of a live fermented food to 1 meal each day. A small pot of live natural yogurt, not flavored, not low-fat, but live culture full-fat yogurt, at breakfast. A tablespoon of sauerkraut or kimchi alongside lunch. A cup of kefir in the afternoon. Choose one. Start there. The diversity of your microbiome will begin responding within days and continue improving for as long as you maintain the habit. They eat olive oil every single day, and more of it than you think. We have arrived at food number 5, and this is the one I promise you. In 2022, a study from Harvard University's Department of Nutrition tracked the dietary patterns and mortality outcomes of nearly 100,000 Americans over 28 years. The findings were specific enough that they made international headlines, and specific enough that I want to give you the exact numbers, because they are remarkable. Participants who consumed more than half a tablespoon of olive oil per day, roughly 7 grams, had a 19% lower risk of cardiovascular mortality compared to those who rarely consumed olive oil. They had a 17% lower risk of cancer mortality. an 18% lower risk of neurodegenerative disease mortality, meaning conditions like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, and a 29% lower risk of respiratory disease mortality. 29% lower risk of respiratory mortality from olive oil. The researchers also found that replacing just 10 grams per day of butter, margarine, mayonnaise, or dairy fat with olive oil was associated with a significant reduction in all-cause mortality. Not a complete dietary overhaul. One substitution. 10 grams of olive oil in place of something else. And the mortality risk moved measurably. The biological mechanism behind these findings is now well understood. Extra virgin olive oil, the cold-pressed, unrefined form, is rich in a compound called oleocanthal, a natural phenolic that inhibits the same inflammatory enzymes targeted by ibuprofen. When you consume extra virgin olive oil regularly, you are providing your body with a daily anti-inflammatory input that operates at the molecular level across every organ system. It is also rich in oleic acid, the monounsaturated fat that comprises approximately 73% of its fatty acid content. Oleic acid improves the lipid profile of cell membranes throughout the body, making them more fluid, more permeable to beneficial compounds, and more resistant to oxidative damage. In the cardiovascular system, it reduces LDL oxidation, the process by which LDL cholesterol becomes a kind that damages arterial walls. In the brain, it supports the integrity of the myelin sheaths that insulate neural pathways. And extra virgin olive oil is one of the richest dietary sources of polyphenols, plant compounds with antioxidant properties that neutralize free radicals, reduce DNA damage, and have been shown to activate longevity-associated genes including SIRT1, the same gene pathway activated by caloric restriction and fasting. In every blue zone where olive oil is part of the culture, Sardinia, Icaria, and the Mediterranean region broadly, it is not used sparingly. It is poured generously, on bread, on vegetables, on fish, on legumes, into soups and stews. The average consumption in Icaria, Greece, the island researchers have nicknamed the place where people forget to die, is estimated at 6 tablespoons per day per person. Lucia is 86. She lives in a hillside village in Sardinia and has used olive oil from a tree in her own garden for 60 years. She does not measure it. She pours it the way her mother poured it and her grandmother before that, freely, without calculation, onto everything. Her bread is drizzled with it. Her beans are cooked in it. Her salad is dressed with it. Her fish is finished with it. At 86, Lucia has no cardiovascular disease. She has never had a stroke. Her memory is clear enough that she can describe in detail the weather on the day her youngest grandchild was born. Her GP, who has been her doctor for 20 years, told her once, half seriously, that she was the best advertisement for Sardinian olive oil he had ever seen. Lucia laughed and poured him some on a piece of bread. Here is how to start today. Replace whatever fat you currently use for cooking and dressing food with extra virgin olive oil. Not olive oil labeled simply olive oil, extra virgin, cold pressed, in a dark bottle that protect the polyphenols from light degradation. Use it on your vegetables. Use it on your bread instead of butter. Use it to finish soups and stews after cooking. Aim for at least 1 to 2 tablespoons per day. Let yourself be generous with it. The research does not reward restraint. They eat nuts every single day, just a small handful. We have arrived at the 6th and final food. And in some ways it is the most elegant, because the quantity required to achieve its documented benefits is so small, and the evidence supporting it is so large, that the ratio between the effort it requires and the results it produces is unlike almost anything else in the nutritional literature. A small handful of nuts, every day. Not a bowl, not a bag, a handful, approximately 28 to 30 grams, which is roughly what fits comfortably in the palm of one hand. Walnuts, almonds, pistachios, Brazil nuts, cashews, hazelnuts. The specific variety matters less than the consistency and the quantity. The evidence base for daily nut consumption and longevity is among the most robust in nutritional science. A study published in the New England Journal of Medicine, one of the most prestigious medical journals in the world, followed over 76,000 women and nearly 43,000 men for up to 30 years. The findings were unambiguous. People who ate nuts daily had a 20% lower risk of death from any cause compared to those who never ate them. They had a 29% lower risk of dying from heart disease, a 24% lower risk of dying from respiratory disease, and an 11% lower risk of dying from cancer. a 20% reduction in all-cause mortality from a handful of nuts per day. The mechanism is not mysterious. Nuts are among the most nutritionally dense food available in a single small package. They are rich in unsaturated fats, both monounsaturated and polyunsaturated, that support cardiovascular health and reduce systemic inflammation. They are high in protein and fiber, both essential for muscle maintenance and gut health after 60. They contain vitamin E, a fat-soluble antioxidant that protects cell membranes from oxidative damage and plays a specific role in cognitive protection. They are rich in magnesium, which is directly involved in over 300 enzymatic reactions in the body, including blood sugar regulation, blood pressure management, muscle function, and sleep quality, for the central challenges of healthy aging. Walnuts in particular carry a specific distinction. They are the only nut with significant amounts of ALA omega-3 fatty acids, making them the closest plant-based approximation of the anti-inflammatory benefits of oily fish. A study from UCLA found that walnut consumption was associated with significantly better cognitive performance in older adults, better memory, better processing speed, better concentration, even when controlling for all other dietary and lifestyle variables. Brazil nuts deserve a specific mention because of selenium, a trace mineral that is extraordinarily difficult to obtain in sufficient quantities from a standard modern diet, and that plays a critical role in thyroid function, immune response, DNA synthesis, and antioxidant defense. A single Brazil nut contains a full recommended daily intake of selenium, 1 nut per day. That is all it takes to ensure your selenium status is optimal, and selenium deficiency in older adults is associated with weakened immunity, thyroid dysfunction, and accelerated cellular aging. Walter is 83 and has a ritual that his family finds slightly eccentric but has never questioned, because the results have made questioning it feel unnecessary. Every morning, after his cup of tea and before anything else, Walter sits at the kitchen table and eats a small handful of mixed nuts, walnuts, almonds, and 2 Brazil nuts, arranged in a small bowl that his late wife bought 40 years ago and that he has never replaced. He eats them slowly, without distraction. He started the habit when he was 55, after reading a brief article in a newspaper that he has long since forgotten. He simply decided to try it and never stopped. At 83, Walter has no cognitive impairment. His thyroid function is normal, something his doctor monitors carefully given his age. His inflammatory markers are in the range his doctor associates with people 2 decades younger. And he sleeps, he will tell you, like a man with a clear conscience and a good diet. He gives the credit to the ritual as much as the nuts. The act of sitting quietly each morning, eating something intentional before the day begins. The habit is both nutrition and ceremony. Here is how to start today. Buy a bag of mixed nuts. Portion out a small handful, 28 to 30 grams, into a small bowl container each morning. Eat them at the same time each day, before something else you already do. Make them a ritual the way Walter made them a ritual. The consistency is a medicine. The handful is a dose. And the 30 years of evidence behind that dose is a reason this is the 6th food on a list that Harold's cardiologist wrote down in a consultation room and has been quietly recommending to his patients ever since. We are halfway through our time together, and I want to pause for a moment. Of the 6 foods we have covered, beans, leafy greens, oily fish, fermented foods, olive oil, and nuts, which one do you already eat every day? And which one are you realizing you have been significantly underestimating? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one, and I want to know which of these you are going to add first, because the answer to that question is the beginning of something real. Let us bring the full picture together. Because the most important thing to understand about these 6 foods is not any individual one in isolation. It is what happens when they are eaten together, consistently, daily, over the long arc of a life. Each of these 6 foods addresses a different dimension of biological aging simultaneously. Beans feed the gut microbiome, build and maintain muscle, and stabilize blood sugar across the day. Leafy greens protect bone density, support DNA repair, reduce blood pressure through natural nitrates, and shield the retina and brain from oxidative damage. Oily fish provides the EPA and DHA that reduce systemic inflammation, maintain brain structure, and protect the cardiovascular system at a molecular level. Fermented foods restore and maintain the microbial diversity that regulates immunity, mood, inflammation, and metabolic health. Olive oil delivers daily anti-inflammatory phenolics, protect the integrity of cell membranes throughout the body, and activate longevity-associated gene pathways. And nuts provide the selenium, magnesium, vitamin E, and healthy fats that support thyroid function, sleep quality, cognitive performance, and cardiovascular health in a single small daily handful. Together, these 6 foods address inflammation, gut health, bone density, brain structure, cardiovascular integrity, immune function, metabolic health, and cellular aging simultaneously. No supplement protocol has ever replicated what this combination does. No pharmaceutical intervention has produced results across this many organ systems with this level of safety and this degree of documented evidence. The longest-lived people on Earth are not eating these foods because they read about them in studies. They are eating them because they are what their culture put on the table, because their grandmothers cooked them, because the land around them produced them, because over centuries of lived experience. The populations that ate this way survived and thrived while others did not. The science is not discovering something new. It is confirming something ancient, and it is giving you, today, the specific language to understand what the oldest people in the world have simply always known. Here is your challenge starting today. Pick one of these 6 foods that you are not currently eating daily and commit to adding it to one meal every single day for the next 30 days. Just one food, one meal, 30 days. Write it in the comments right now. Tell me which one you are starting with. Your answer matters, not just to me, but to everyone in this community who is reading the comments looking for the same permission to begin that you might be looking for right now. If this video reached you, if something in it landed in a way that felt true and useful, share it with someone you love, a partner, a sibling, a friend who has been paying attention to their health and not quite knowing where to start. The right information at the right moment is one of the most powerful gifts one person can give another. Subscribe if you have not already. New videos every week, grounded in real science, told through real stories, made for people who are paying attention to their health and ready to do something about it. Because the 6 things sitting in Harold's kitchen are probably available in yours too. And Harold, cardiologist, the man who has spent 30 years watching people age, is still writing down what Harold eats. Start eating it.